The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is June 18th, 2025. We are live to tape on episode 851, and today it's the NEPHILIM virus from the deep. Ba-doop-a-doop-doop-doop. And signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And here we are.
And they keep going. Here's the thing, folks. They are packing it in. Last episode was trying desperately to cover all of the events that just happened on Saturday. I can't even name them off the top of my head. Of course, the Iran bombing Israel. We had the shooting in Minnesota. We had something with Trump. I don't even remember. It's always, it's the parade. It's his birthday. It's this, it's that. They are packing it in, baby. We zoom out. We see the scope of things. And of course, we know that the adversary's main, most prolific tool is to create chaos, confusion, and then what follows is destruction. So we're gonna try our best, Gonz. It's just absolutely crazy out there, is it not?
Gotta dial in the more important things, like
gotta dial
the
in
main points.
This is what we're starting to realize is, kind of what we're being called to do, because as we know, the principalities, the powers, the dark governors of this world, whatever, they benefit from absolutely flooding the zone, as Obama said, flooding the zone with sewage. And that, of course, is a very great distraction. It overwhelms people, so they tune out. The endless rabbit holes to take up the time and the energy. The endless dance between the mainstream media and the alternative media, where whence they were adversaries now seem to need each other. They require each other. But that's why we're here with true independent media, folks. This is going to be a packed show. We're going to try to pack it in as well we can, but it is becoming very clear that editing out news is going to become more and more important for responsible alternative or independent news people. And so that's what we're going to be trying to do.
I'm running into a lot of people that say they just don't bother with the news.
They don't pay attention
anymore. Yeah, not at all.
They're just tuning out. And honestly, I do not blame them.
I don't blame them either. What does that mean for us, though? Are we the only people left there talking about it, or are we still bringing value when it comes to what's being reported?
There is definitely a huge market. So, I mean, part of the problem is, I think one of the reasons why the listener base, the viewer base, it has been so, volatile lately, is because there's more, alt media news shows than have ever existed. I mean, they're just everywhere. And there's so many big ones with better production quality, with more money behind it. Sure, there's ads, but boy, oh boy, are those cameras sharp.
They got a direct line to the CIA. And
yes, they do. I mean, literally, they literally have a direct line to the CIA. They have friends in the Trump administration. The alt media has been fully sort of, infiltrated is not even the same word, but has been grafted in.
It's grafted in, adopted.
Branch, yes, the branch has been grafted to the bush. And in this case, the bush is just full-on establishment in whatever way you want to, talk about it. Just because they might not get a grant from some weird Democrat NGO doesn't mean that having literal friends with phone numbers in the Trump cabinet, is really any different to trying to gather an honest, true, corrupted, chaotic timeline. I mean, no wonder these guys can do a show every single day, because every single day they can just dive deeper and deeper and deeper into these individual rabbit holes. And I want to apologize, but then I also want to, I don't know, defend myself, because last episode we ran out of time. We could not dive into the twists and the turns of the Minnesota shooter, the fella who killed the lawmakers there in Minnesota. And if you thought the rabbit hole was crazy 2 days ago, it is infinitely crazier. And I'm digging in. I'm like, oh, a couple people were like, oh, I'm sad you couldn't cover it. I really wanted to hear your take on it. I really wanted to dive into it. And I go, okay, I have a responsibility. I must learn everything there is to learn about the situation. And the deeper and the deeper and the deeper I got, and there was just no light at the end of the tunnel. It just kept going. And I had like an epiphany at this moment. I mean, I'm talking hours into trying to collect sources and like piece this thing together from everything going on. I go, oh my gosh. This is it. This is the trap. I have fallen into the trap. There are so many other things going on. Not even like necessarily saying that like Israel and Iran situation should take precedence, although some might argue just that. But the things that are being completely ignored, the trends and forces that we have been, really honing our skills on spotting, which, is why the Canary Cry Index is a good bet 24/7. It's getting just totally pushed out. It's flooding the zone. So here's the thing. There was a lot of interest in the Minnesota shooter rabbit hole. I am now going to dive with you as deep as we possibly can into it. In a kind of short amount of time. I am going to set a timer for myself, because I am telling you, if we could take the entire show,
of course,
and you get to the, again, not the bottom of it, but you go through so many twists and turns of the rabbit hole, and you just kind of realize, oh, this is what they want. They want this to endlessly go, because not only are the actual true details pretty wild, but the narrative war of it is pretty wild. And you start to realize, oh my gosh, there are behind the scenes sort of conspirators just in the media, but also on Twitter. The whole point of this thing is to get people trapped in the labyrinth. So I'm going to give you...
It's the content wheel, You got to throw them a bone every once in a while.
No, I'm not saying it's once in a while. I'm saying this is literally every day. This is what they want. Right. This is like the point. But I cannot resist. There were people that wanted to do it. And honestly, it's a really good lesson in just how post-truth the situation is right now. Because you have... anyways, it's fully post-truth. And it actually it opened my eyes a little bit to how to dig through and analyze, and which things to ignore, which things not to ignore, and really gave me a deep, heartfelt understanding of just how dire the information landscape is. Psyops. There we go. Timer has started. Okay, so for those who may have missed it, here's just a primer from Time magazine. Suspected shooter of Minnesota lawmakers potentially facing federal death penalty. What do we know about Vance Boelter? I'm now hearing that it's Boelter and not Boelter. Vance Luther Boelter, VLB, the 57-year-old man suspected of shooting two Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses at their residences, is facing federal murder charges that could carry the death penalty, authorities announced. Boelter is being charged on the federal level with stalking both lawmakers, murdering State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, and shooting State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. The acting U.S. Attorney for Minnesota, Joe Thompson, said during a press conference on Monday, the murder charges could potentially subject him to the death penalty if he is convicted, Thomas said, though he declined to say whether his office would seek the death penalty, or the penalty in this case. Boelter also faces multiple state charges, and it goes on with more of those. They abolished the death penalty. Very quickly does this get into a quagmire of like death penalty discussion. But he remains in federal custody, and his bail is $5 million. Boelter's apprehension on Sunday night ended what Minnesota Governor Tim Waltz called a complex and dangerous manhunt. And that is the understatement of the century, which involved local, state, federal law enforcement officials at the press conference Sunday night. Waltz thanked the authorities involved for spending Father's Day away from their families. Thank you, Waltz. Time magazine. Okay, so to the best of our ability to piece together, we are going to piece this together. I want to start out by playing this FBI sort of presser from CNN. For those who have generally caught up with the story, this fella, he dressed up in a police uniform. He put on what we're told is a mask, and the quality of this mask is really under question. He stalked a bunch of people all through the night. He eventually showed up at this legislator's home and killed her and her husband. That is the total basic layout. As we walk through this, it's like looking into the looking glass. There is an entire dimension of things going on. But let's just start from CNN, the FBI press release. What did they have to say?
Boelter then traveled to Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and the home of Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman. At approximately 3:30 a.m., Boelter arrived at Representative Hortman's house in his black SUV with the police license plates. He parked in the driveway and left the emergency lights on his SUV flashing, as if he was a police officer. Boelter approached Representative Hortman's home, again dressed as a police officer, wearing the tactical vest and body armor, and wearing that hyper-realistic mask.
Hyper-realistic.
We're going to get to it. We're going to
Okay.
All right. By the
Sorry,
way,
I'm
yes.
getting excited about this hyper-realistic
That's
mask.
good. Keep the video there. Let's touch it while we're here, because we were told so many different things about this mask, okay? And the mask goes even deeper because there's pictures of the mask sitting in the dirt where he ditched it. But there is a security camera footage of this mask, and you're showing it on the screen right now. You look at it. By no stretch of the imagination could someone call this a hyper-realistic mask. And this was always reported from the beginning, even the very first reports, that he wore a hyper-realistic mask. And now enough people are familiar with the CIA in the 60s could make a mask so high quality that a person who knows the person who's being presented with a mask, I guess, what am I trying to say, impersonated, from across a dinner table couldn't tell the difference. So this is very old technology, very good technology now 50, 60 years ago. Today, of course, it would only get better. You think of hyper-realistic mask, you might think of, Joe Biden stand-in number 1 or 2. Maybe you could tell a difference, but the normal person can't. You see this picture on the security camera. This mask is like a drugstore Halloween scary mask. It is a bald mask, but it's very obviously, can you tell that it came from the CVS bargain bin, on November 1st or something? By no stretch of the imagination is this realistic. And yet this is what they put out on the FBI thing. Let's keep the video going.
Makes you wonder if this Joe Thompson guy, is wearing a hyper-realistic mask and is trying to detract. Maybe that's not
masks
even his
all
real
the way
identity.
down.
All those guys up there have masks.
He was armed and carrying a flashlight.
Yeah.
Before he entered the home.
Yes, armed, carrying a flashlight.
He was carrying a flashlight. Keep it going.
Oh yeah.
Two Brooklyn Park police officers arrived at the scene. They too had been dispatched to check on Representative Hortman after learning of the shooting of Senator Hoffman. When they arrived at the scene, they saw Boelter's black SUV parked in the driveway with the emergency lights flashing, and they saw Boelter standing in front of the house several feet from the door. When Boelter saw the officers get out of the car, he drew his weapon and began firing. He rushed into the house through the front door, firing into it. He repeatedly fired into the house, and when he entered, he murdered Representative Hortman and her husband, Mark. The Brooklyn Park police officers fired at Boelter as he rushed into the home, but he escaped into the home and out the back.
Okay, so
What?
he had been, and I know, it's crazy. So he had been at
Okay.
the other house. He shot 2 people at the other house. In response to that, they go, let's go protect all the legislators. So the cops show up at the Hortman's house. They see him standing out front. He has a SUV that has police lights on it. He's wearing full tactical vest, full, police gear. They see him standing up there thinking he's a cop. They yell at him. He turns around like some sort of, scary Halloween character and starts firing on the cops. The cops fire back. Boelter turns around, goes into the house, then shoots the other 2 people and runs out the back door while the police are still
What
outside.
are they doing?
They're just like hanging out. I mean, they're a little, frazzled, I'm sure, in that situation.
Sure, yeah, a little.
The guy just shot at you. You're not going to run into the house. Maybe he turns around and shoots you. A lot of fear. I don't know. But they were there before he even killed anybody. And then he runs out the back door. Okay? Remember, wearing the mask. Now, I'm thinking here, okay, if he was wearing such a hyper-realistic mask, how did they inevitably find who this guy was? Because he runs into the forest wearing the mask, ditches the mask, and disappears.
I've seen it in a movie. He drinks the thing and he just dissolves into the river.
He does look like the Prometheus guy. Now, how did they find out who he was? Well, they go to his car that's parked right there, and they allegedly find a bunch of weapons, a bunch of ammunition.
Manifesto. Is there a manifesto?
Listen to this. They
Okay.
find a bunch of plans, a bunch of handwritten notes, and goodness gracious, you got to see these notes. It's incredible. You'll see them at the end here.
Okay.
And allegedly a manifesto. And this manifesto has been spoken about specifically in almost every report and in the press conferences. There is a manifesto. The manifesto exists. It exists. Okay, great. Show us the manifesto. Now, if a guy goes through the process of wearing a, quote, hyper-realistic mask, he obviously does not want to be seen, right? He has his car that looks like a police car. This allegedly is due to the fact that he started a security company in 2018, but the security company has no paper trail. It does not exist. It doesn't have any business. I think it was started as a security company for like people in Africa with, African politicians.
There's your 10
and
minutes
stuff like
right
that.
there.
There it
Yep,
is. I know, it's
you're,
crazy.
You're done.
So this car, he has this car allegedly because of the security company. The security company is a total farce. It's, it just doesn't exist. But if he's going through the trouble of wearing a mask, why would he bring a car that he has registered to his name? Why would he put his name on his manifesto and his notes and things like this? Especially because after he escapes and he's on the loose, the next day he goes and buys an e-bike and a Buick from a guy at a gas station and pays cash. So he's able to get an anonymous, unregistered to him car immediately in the snap of a finger, but he didn't want to get an anonymous non-registered car beforehand, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Sounds like he's getting a gift from somebody.
It's just
a little deal or something.
It's very strange. It's very
That is
strange.
very
Now,
strange.
one thing that's being reported back and forth is, oh, he's a Republican. He was a Republican. He voted Republican in 2004 in Oklahoma City. Oh my gosh, it's a Republican killing a Democrat. Well, he was also a governor appointed member of some councils just in the for the state, and was first appointed in 2016 by the governor. He was then reappointed in 2020, I think it was 3, by Tim Waltz.
This
So
is
he is-
Boelter?
Yes,
Okay,
Boelter
yeah, all right.
is an employee of the state appointed by Tim Waltz.
Sounds like an asset more than a human being. The more
Yeah,
you
I mean,
talk about
this whole thing screams this. Now,
Yeah.
there's a discussion to be had. Did Waltz even know? There's a lot of these, council and assembly things that get put together, and Waltz doesn't necessarily interview all of them. He probably
Right.
just signed off on letting the same guy do it. That's, I don't think that's proof that he's best friends with Waltz, but that's just part of the situation. Okay. And by the way, this Waltz once appointed Minnesota shooting suspect to advisory board. Here's context.
Boyd.
This is a Snopes fact check true. So,
It's true.
Yes.
Oh, look
it's
at
true.
that.
They didn't even say
Congratulations, Snopes. They're like, we need some credibility.
they
This is a
didn't
good
even
one.
say like partially true or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's just true.
Maybe,
Now-
they've gone independent again.
Yeah, I doubt that. Now, there's a lot of crazy stuff because, of course, the mainstream media has reported over and over he's a Christian. He went on missions trips to Africa. If you go over here to the Oversight Project, this is a geofencing sort of research thing they post over on Twitter. It says, tracking connections to Minnesota assassin, we geofenced Boelter's family farm and found a unique device. We followed that device for the last 3 years, located in places like Africa, Nepal, and Washington, D.C. So this guy's getting around. He's getting around. Now, they interviewed, quote unquote, allegedly, his roommate, which is this guy who works at like Pizza Hut. And his roommate is like, yeah, he's a Trump lover. He says this is MAGA country. He's a total political fanatic. He's crazy, man. Well, it turns out not only, at least from what the sort of open research information that can be found, the dude owns a farm and $1 million house and lives with his family. This idea that he lives with some guy is totally new. There's no record of like marital problems. There's no record of this and that, that would lead to any definitive thing that he's left the house and is living with whatever, some guy who works at Pizza Hut. But the fact that he owns a farm and $1 million house, even if they were separated, why would he? I don't know. It doesn't seem like he would need to slum it. So that thing totally seems like a full-on setup, full-on, fake kind of backstory. But the media latched on because that was the guy who was saying, oh, yes, he's a Christian. He does this. He does that. Now, yeah, this is impossible to run through even in 10 minutes. It's crazy. Let's jump over to CNN real quick. Takeaways from the federal complaint against Vance Boelter. CNN, get out of here. I'm going to scroll all the way down to some crazy stuff. You can see suspect went on 4 different lawmakers' homes. You can see the mask laying in the dirt there. Again, looking like it just came out of the bargain bin. Police officer mistook Boelter for a fellow cop. We know that part. Extensive planning and research went into the attacks. So this was the license plate on the car that he drove. And it's a license plate. Keep going down. Keep going down.
Going down.
We're just going one direction, baby. We're going down.
All right. Down
It's
the
a
rabbit hole.
totally blank license plate that he just put the letters. He just put police on there. Like he got the letters at a hardware store. I mean, pretty.
That doesn't even look. I mean, that looks like a piece of paper, like some construction paper that was cut out. You can see that the edges are not clean at all.
The spacing is strange. I don't know. Now, if you go down one more, you'll see dozens of lawmakers listed in notebooks. These are the notebooks that he found.
Okay.
And you look at the notebooks, and on one page, and there is some psyop behind this, which I think we're going to see.
They want people to go to these websites or something.
I think we're going to see some surveillance state stuff.
Yeah, this is a surveillance.
Because what he
sure.
lists,
don't go to these sites.
What he lists are people finder sites. There's dozens of them, and you can use it to look people up by phone number or whatever and get their address. And he just has a list, just a handwritten list of different people finder sites.
Wow.
Been verified, Ownerly, ussearch.com. Peoplefinder.com,
Looker, dude.
And he just literally opened a notebook and just wrote down these websites. What? So I think we're going to see this play into taking away these people finder sites and putting it into the hands of the government, maybe obscuring information from public access and, putting it into Palantir and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is a Palantir play. Yeah, no, that's pretty, I mean, I guess if you've been around here, it's pretty obvious what this is. I mean, it's a full list.
Yeah.
It's a complete list. I mean.
On top of that, he just allegedly had this list of lawmakers that were on his hit list, but there it is. There's a notebook. Of course, there's a notebook.
Sure.
Now, everybody on the list was Democrats, okay, but the one that was killed. Where is the the one lawmaker that was killed, this Hortman gal. And on our links, guys, we're going to go back to the Newsweek article that was up, the second link. It says, Minnesota lawmaker killed after migrant vote rocking No Kings protest. So there was a vote in Minnesota. I think it was on the 12th, just a couple days before this. It says here, Hortman provided the sole Democratic Farmer Labor Party vote on HF1, a bill amending the state's Minnesota Care coverage eligibility. The bill, which passed the House on June 12th, enforces citizenship requirements to obtain the state's Medicaid program coverage, stripping adult undocumented immigrants of publicly funded health care. So she was a Democrat. And the Minnesota state legislator is straight 50-50, right down the middle, Democrat, Republican. She was the one Democrat who crossed the line and signed on to take away or to require citizenship to get state health care. Okay? So it's all wrapped up in this immigration thing. It's a totally reasonable thing. Be a citizen, get taxpayer dollars. That's just the thing. But she was the one Democrat who crossed over, and she was getting a ton of flack for this. In fact, there was an interview with her after this where she's basically crying on camera, saying she had to do it. She had to do it. It was, it was the right thing to do. I had to do it, type of thing. So It's like 2 days after that she is the one Democrat who crossed the line and took away, basically Minnesota Medicaid from illegal immigrants. Then boom, guy shows up with a mask, with a this, with a that. So that's odd.
That is, I mean, if she was that emotional afterward, I wonder if there were threats.
It was very strange. It was very strange. She was very
sad,
disturbed by it.
Yeah. The whole thing indicates a much deeper problem going on with this country and stuff like this.
Obviously, yeah. And okay, one last one. They were saying that he was like separated from his family or whatever.
Sure.
Didn't live with his family. To make it all more exciting. Back to the CNN article here. In the hours after the attacks took place, this is while he's on the run, Boelter sent a chilling text message to his family members, according to the affidavit. Quote, "Dad went to war last night. I don't want to say more because I don't want to implicate anybody." One text from Boelter to members of his family read, according to the affidavit. Boelter also appeared to acknowledge that his actions were putting his family in danger. Quote, "Words are not going to explain how sorry I am for this situation," he wrote. Quote, "There's going to be some people coming to the house armed and trigger happy. I don't want you guys around." Boelter's wife consented to a search of their car. So she, like the next day, is out driving around with the kids in the car and just got pulled over on a traffic stop, allegedly, where investigators found 2 handguns, passports for Boelter's wife and their children, and about $10,000 in cash. So his wife goes on the run, grabs the cash, grabs the passports, grabs the guns, and bails. Officers found a handwritten letter to the FBI in the Buick Boelter bought and abandoned. This was the second car the next day he bought.
So he only used it for one day or a couple days or something?
He used it for a day and then bailed on it, in which the writer identifies himself as Dr. Vance Luther Boelter and says they are the shooter at large in Minnesota. So it's only in the second car that he writes a note identifying Boelter, ditches the Buick, leaving the note admitting to the crime.
That is the most obvious sort of let me leave this breadcrumb and bail and have everybody
it is the only
pounce on
thing.
this thing. And then, so where is he? Did they get him?
They did get him. Yes, he is. Okay, so there you go.
Or somebody that's appearing to be him.
Right. So you know what this really smacks of, and this is just the spitting image of the Luigi Mangione case.
Yeah.
Because same thing with Luigi Mangione. His face was obscured. The pictures they put out ahead of time, they even admit now, were not him. They're like, we're looking for this guy. We're looking for this guy. A guy with a backpack and a green jacket. And then when they got him wearing a backpack and a green jacket and a face mask, they go, no. That was just a different guy with a backpack and a different green jacket. We are actually looking for Luigi, who also happened to have his gun and his manifesto when he went to McDonald's and somebody recognized. Total nonsense, right?
Hey, you think maybe Buick made a deal for the free advertisement here for this I guess getaway car or something like illegals use Buicks or something crazy.
Extremely Luigi Mangione-y.
Yeah.
Okay, and it goes on and on and on. So here's when we can all agree. We can all agree that the official story. I mean, there almost is no official story. It's just a list of inconsistencies and vagaries and nothingness that leads up to this guy, again, went through the trouble of wearing a mask, went through the trouble of this, just leaving a note in a car, and that's how they knew it was him. And they eventually caught up with him. I'm trying to think back at what else was going on during the Luigi Mangione case. It's so weird because we can all remember Luigi, the Luigi situation, and we don't remember it. Can you timestamp anything else to the Luigi time? The Luigi thing just totally obscures anything else going on at that time. And I feel like that's a big part of this psyop as well, which is they create this really crazy situation. They throw out a bunch of really crazy details, very poorly planned. It's like a college film, it's like a college project or like a student level psyop being put here. But that's kind of the point. The point is to take up so much energy, take up so much space on the internet, keep people chasing this rabbit hole forever. I mean, there's so many other details that we could have gone into with his background. I mean, the guy's background is intelligence, basically. I mean, with a keen eye, you can spot it. He's all over the place. He's holding down all these weird different jobs. There's all these fake Twitter accounts that, seem to be set up to what's the word? I don't know.
I don't know.
Create like a false history of him being a Republican and a Trump
Like
supporter.
fabricating some history.
Yes, right. Some very fabricated history.
Manufactured
Even going
history.
back months,
Yeah.
going back Twitter accounts going back months before this even happens.
I guess, that for a person that's not, or getting lost in maybe this particular rabbit trail, because, I think especially if you're new to diving deep into events and things like that, you can get caught up into some of this stuff. I suppose the takeaway is that here's more evidence that we don't exactly see who the real string pullers are out here, and we're just seeing kind of the effects of all of this and the consequences, which are death. People are getting killed in this situation, and it points to a deeper spiritual problem going on.
The psyop is very strong. The psyop
very
is
powerful.
extremely strong, and it's extremely effective.
It does feel like there was like a handoff, like a generational handoff, where it may be like the last generation of psyops, they handed over the tools to the younger generation, and now they're using it, but they're kind of, they got an upgraded version, and it's a little faster. You tap on the gas and it moves the car much faster. I don't know. It just seems like, because it's not clean. None of these psyops have been clean recently.
No.
They've been messy. It's just all over the place. It's just, So
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that's on purpose. Like, they're so messy, it's impossible to come to the conclusion that they're not purposefully messy.
Right.
And I think it's specifically for the alt media control. It's the strings to take up the time, to take the attention, to fill up these alt media episodes.
Gotta give them content, baby.
Where you could go hours and hours and hours.
Or you can go 18 minutes past what you originally wanted to do in 10 minutes.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is too, that was the FBI press conference, meaning it's, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino's FBI coming out and saying it was a hyper realistic mask.
Did Bongino really say it too?
No, Bongino nor Kash came out. It was some other FBI guy.
Oh,
But remember, I'm not even necessarily blaming Kash or Dan for this. But maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. But it's also a good reminder of the 6-week cycle, the FBI 6-week cycle, where every 6 weeks there's some sort of event that the FBI can use to remind everybody how important they are, to secure the funding. And the more attention that gets paid to these little ops, the more PR there is for the FBI. And so, building this scene, building this script that is so all over the place and just grips our minds and pulls us deeper and deeper and deeper into it, is very effective. So this is one thing we're trying to kind of keep an eye out for. I know. I don't know why I thought it could be done in 10 minutes, but I think there's a lesson to be learned here.
Yeah.
I think this whole thing is a good lesson in that, in this post-truth time where it's already hard enough to even believe videos we see on the internet. Are these missiles deep fake missiles? Are they old, videos?
Right.
Is this or that? Who do you even trust? You can't trust the mainstream media. The alt media is getting less and less confident. Rational, confident. I don't know.
You're right.
They seem to be as tossed around by the events of the day as anybody else. There's not a whole lot of stability there. And all the while, World War III is starting in the background, and even that is a distraction from the technocratic, takeover. And man, if only Palantir could have found this guy. If only Palantir was in charge of everything, man, oh man, this
They
would
seem
have
to be
never
coming up
happened.
as the answer to everything. It's just say, hey,
Yeah,
we
they are.
got diseases. We got Palantir.
They
We got
really
man
are.
on the loose. Yeah, if we had Palantir doing
They-
stuff, man. Well, how come Palantir gets the nod, but OpenAI doesn't?
Well, that's a good question. We're going to
Or
jump into
WorldCoin.
that in a second here. Before we move on to our next segment, I want to just give a shout out to everybody who took last episode's survey. We got a lot of people on survey streaks. It's very exciting. People are having a lot of fun with those surveys. And I want today's survey, again, you don't need to finish the episode. You don't need to finish the episode to fill out the survey. We're dialing in on some very important things regarding the show. So if you can, you'll see a link right at the top in the description of the stream, in the description of this video, in the description of the RSS podcast feed, wherever it is, you'll see it. It's tiny.cc/cc851 for episode 851. Go take that, please. It's very important, and it is giving us some incredible insight. It's very fast. 30 seconds, you should be able to do it. There's only 2 required questions, and they are multiple choice. So if you can go click, click, you're done. That's it. There's other stuff you can do. There's, a couple other questions if you want to speak more into stuff, but you're not required. Even if you go in, take those 2 multiple choice, click, click, you're done. So please check that out. Go do it now. You're probably going to forget. So just do it if you're not confident in your ability to remember to do it after the episode.
All right.
Okie
Moving
dokie.
on to the Pope and AI.
Let's go. Space Pope Reptilian, baby.
Space Pope Reptilian.
Artificial intelligence.
You want to destroy humans?
Okay, I will destroy humans.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Okay. During this whole technocratic realignment, Pope Leo, very interesting character, very, obviously, again, talk about the media cycle. The most important thing that ever happened to the world was Pope Leo taking the throne here last month. This is coming from the Wall Street Journal, and there's some very interesting background and I think updates to the broad meta-narrative of the, technocratic beast system dystopia state that we're all taking steps into. From Wall Street Journal here, Pope Leo takes on AI.
Oh,
Dun, 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 dun.
yes, finally. We
Pope?
needed a Pope that actually can take on AI.
Pope versus
waiting
the
for it.
bots. We need somebody to do some art of like Pope Leo with boxing gloves on with Flippy,
Yeah.
Flippy, like the video we saw, also with boxing gloves on, because this is now how we're going to settle. This is a very interesting cartoonish metaphor for the for the types of the period of time that we are moving into. You've got the Pope battling robots in a very silly way. This is coming from Vatican City. 2 days into his reign, the new
His reign.
His reign.
Is he a king?
He is reigning. The new American Pope spoke softly to a hall full of red-capped cardinals and invoked the Digital Age Challenge to human dignity. The
What?
Digital Age Challenge to
Challenge.
human dignity.
Wait. Is it a digital age challenge? Or is it a
digital
digital
challenge.
age, which is a challenge to human dignity? I don't understand.
It's like the ice bucket challenge. It's a
Right.
social media trend.
Sure.
The Digital Age Challenge to Human Dignity he intended to address with the power of his 2,000-year-old office, artificial intelligence. Ugh.
Okay.
That's a crazy sentence, actually.
That is what?
Two days into his reign, the new American Pope spoke softly to a hall full of red-capped cardinals and invoked the Digital Age Challenge to human dignity he intended to address with the power of his 2,000-year-old office, artificial intelligence. That is a wacky sentence. The princes of the Catholic Church listened intently. The princes, guys.
Princes. Okay.
As Pope, apparently the cardinals are princes. Intently as Pope Leo the 14th laid out his priorities for the first time, revealing that he had chosen his papal name because of the tech revolution.
That's right.
So very interesting. You talk about the technocracy, you talk about Silicon Valley, you talk about the technates and, this new age of humanity ruled by technocratic oligarchs. He chose his name, which is maybe the biggest choice that a pope can make because of the tech revolution. As he explained, his namesake, Leo XIII, stood up for the rights of factory workers during the Gilded Age, when industrial robber barons presided over rapid change and extreme inequality. Which also is very interesting because, the Industrial Revolution is the closest historical touchstone we have to kind of what is happening now with the technocratic revolution. Yeah. Quote, "Today, the church offers its trove of social teaching to respond to another industrial revolution and to innovations in the field of artificial intelligence that pose challenges to human dignity, justice, and labor." Leo XIV told the College of Cardinals, who stood and cheered for their new pontiff and his unlikely cause. It's unlikely even by the standards of the Wall Street Journal.
Isn't the church supposed to offer... excuse me, I had some stuff in my throat. Isn't the church supposed to offer salvation and truth, not a trove of social teachings?
But... No, it's a trove. Yes, trove of social changes or social teachings. The 267th Pope, a son of Chicago, is making the potential threat of AI to humanity a signature issue of his pontificate, challenging a tech sector that has spent years trying to cultivate the Vatican as an ally. I think it's very interesting. There, of course, the Vatican, the Catholic Church, the Pope is really an extremely deep category of conversation that has taken us 13 years to, sift through even 1% of it. It's all
people
along.
Get mad if we don't get mad at the Jesuits, which have
Certainly.
maybe part of some of the shadowy folk moving around.
Yeah, and like any deep state, like any closed power center, there's factions inside it. But this particular turn by Pope Leo, honestly, is a real zag, I can say, for what we had sort of gotten used to with Francis, the positions of the Catholic Church talking about baptizing aliens and sort of fitting in to this broad picture of the technocracy that was fast approaching. And now this guy steps in and kind of does a 180, creating the kind of chaos, the kind of whiplash that we're getting in all sorts of other establishments. So on one hand, it's a bit of a surprise. On the other hand, if you're taking a step back and watching these trends coming as they're sort of on the horizon, this is kind of par for the course right now, this chaotic whiplash of power structures. And then it goes into kind of what we already know. Over the past decade, many of Silicon Valley's most powerful executives have flown to Rome to shape how the world's largest Christian denomination thinks and speaks about their innovations. The leaders of Google, Microsoft, Cisco, and other tech powerhouses have debated the philosophical and societal implications of increasingly intelligent machines with the Vatican, hoping to share the benefits of emerging technologies, win over the moral authority, and potentially steer its influence over governments and policy makers. Sounds like the Wall Street Journal is getting a little conspiratorial, Gons.
You know what it is, too? This is the leveling. Anytime there's a technological boom, there's sort of a leveling of the playing field, a start over, a reset, if you will. Mm-hmm. And it seems like this is every faction, including the Vatican, having their own sort of flavor to it, to occupy as much of this new technium that's emerging. And of course, the Wall Street Journal is going to have their own spin on it. But yeah, it does appear that, the same way that culture was tapped into for the last iteration of like Web 2, where, the people behind Google sent Eric Schmidt to Burning Man to see how he integrates into a crowd or something, right? Like some strange philosophical observation of this potential CEO of the company. Now they went to the Vatican to receive philosophical insight or theological insight as to how to deal, because now they're dealing with not just societies, they're dealing with this concept of God, that this AI thing is unlocking God. And so how do we navigate this area? And of course, they're not going to go to you and I, Basil, for our opinion about this stuff. They're going to go to the Holy See and find out what they know, because they've been talking about aliens for a couple decades too. So maybe they saw something with what was formerly known as the Lucifer telescopes.
Yeah.
And they can shed some light into this AI phenomenon. But that, this type of stuff explains what's happening culturally in America with Christianity as well. So I'm not saying it's all because of this, but it does appear that, as we've identified over the last, probably 6 months is really when the obvious signs, out in the media and stuff, it became, tangible. But yeah, there's been a shift in culture. And, the thing that's interesting is that you would expect us to kind of feast in this moment when I don't know, the river tides have changed or something. But, when you kind of see it for what it is, it's difficult to be like, it's still the same thing. Just because it's wearing a different jersey doesn't mean it's anything different when it comes to the actual spiritual thing going on. So, I think it's all in line with everything we've been seeing develop. And what is he going to do? What is his plan? He seems to want to make it a central thing for his papacy. Is he going to come up with a list of, commandments, AI commandments, kind of like we were trying to mess around with a couple episodes ago? Or is he going to have he's going to put out a document or something, right? Some kind of guideline that's going to be universal.
What did they call it? Social teachings?
Social teachings,
ethical social teachings.
Yeah.
1 second. Let me look something up here. Was there anything in this article you wanted to highlight?
Not particularly, no. It's just the overall conversation is very interesting. Let me not tap this one. This week, the Vatican is hosting executives from Google, Meta, IBM, Anthropic, Cohere, and Palantir, of course, in its Grand Apostolic Palace as part of a 2-day international conference in Rome on AI, ethics, and corporate governance, co-chaired by David Berger, a partner at law firm Wilson Sonsini that advises some of the largest tech companies, and Pierluigi Matera, a partner at Libra Legal Partners who works with the Vatican. So, there you go. That's it. They're going to get their cues from the Vatican. I'm wondering what I don't know how to, I kind of see it in my brain. It's not really coming out in words yet. But, the sort of ideological division that's happening with the Israel-Iran or Israel-Palestine, whatever, like the Israel versus everybody else conversation that we'll get into in a little bit here. When you look at that conflict and then you look at the Vatican and them sort of taking their side on things, because I'm looking at AI, I'm looking at technology and things as a very important indicator as to where people are going to line up. It might be part of how the prophecies play out with the 10 kings and the 10 regions of the earth. It may not just be actual physical locations, but some of these alliances, that the idea of network states that we were talking about for so long is in that context of having those different factions that are data-led nations rather than just physical location. And maybe the Vatican is laying out their nation, basically, their network state, basically, by getting ahead of this AI thing and then having a whole metaverse for the Vatican where, if you're in there, you gotta behave, you gotta act good. Like a good Catholic, otherwise you can't be in there.
Yeah. The Vatican especially, considers it sort of the moral authority, the ethical authority, not even just the, sort of Christian authority, but, considers itself
the world's moral authority.
You're right. The moral authority of the world. And with Pope Leo, you got to keep in mind. I mean, on one hand, it's like, okay, so he's not just giving in. He's not joining this technocratic. I mean, they could very easily use the technology to increase the Vatican's power and the Pope's power or whatever.
They could have made an image of Francis and just had everyone worship it or something. They could have easily done it. Easily, the tools are there.
Maybe it's still not too late.
Oh, he's going to come save the day.
Yeah, they do go into Pope Francis's career with AI in this too, but it's sort of besides the point. So you have some of the cardinals actually kind of pushing back a little bit. Says this was down at the bottom, quote, they're now waiting to see how Leo will use the church's moral authority to push for strong rules on AI. Quote, these tools shouldn't be demonized, but they need to be regulated, said Cardinal Versaldi. Quote, the question is, who will regulate them? It's not credible for them to be regulated by their makers. There needs to be a superior authority. Dun, dun, dun.
Easy to say when they are the superior authority in this occasion, representing God, apparently, right?
Yeah, well, because you got to zoom out again and see it in the broader context. You have Trump saying, no, nobody can regulate AI for 10 years. That's part of the big, beautiful bill, is this sort of kind of a guarantee that AI companies can kind of just do whatever they want. There'll be some reins on
some guardrails
by the federal government, but not by the states. So Trump and the federal government has sort of positioned itself as that high superior authority. And in a way, the tech companies coming in, meeting with Pope Leo, trying to get the Vatican on their side is like the only other inroad to, not that the Vatican is a higher authority than the U.S. government, but there's no other government higher than the U.S. government. And so then you get and they're technocrats, they understand this. If you can't appeal to the nation state, the next thing you do is appeal to the network state. And the Catholic Church is a great example of a sort of proto network state. Yeah. Where they really are not held to account in any, not held to account for a lot of, not held to account.
They don't
for a lot
all
of
live in the same geographical location. It is
right,
there's
and
a headquarters, and then there's everybody else.
And even their headquarters is not accountable to a government. They are their own government. So they are this good first example. I mean, might even be a better example of a network state than the social media example that we give. I
think so.
And the fact that it is a quote unquote moral or ethical authority, that is, I think, another subtle part of the network state thesis that we don't talk about all the time, which is, there has to be some sort of real ideology that binds a network state, much like a nation state. And the country is finding out right now that if you don't have a shared narrative or a shared mythology, a shared ideal, a shared ideology, whatever it is, the nation state cannot stand. It's too divided. But network states, they kind of are primarily, if not exclusively, held together by shared ideology. They almost it almost defines them through and through,
right?
Which is, again, a better example than just saying like Facebook or network state, because that doesn't quite hit the same human requirements of something like this, where the Vatican does. And if nothing else, I'm glad Pope Leo is making the tech bros work for it, but it remains to be seen exactly how this will go long term.
I mean, it's wild that we're at a point right now where President Trump takes away states' ability to legislate AI, hands over millions through defense contracts to places like Palantir and OpenAI, as we'll see in a second here. And those companies are sitting there with the Vatican trying to get guidance. I mean, my goodness. Talk about the beast system. It's right on our doorstep. It's in our phones.
It's all coming together. I mean, that is one bit. You know, you go back to the last decade or so of theory about the beast system, about the Vatican's role, about the Pope's role in a sort of end times scenario. Really, this actually, much like we're finding with a lot of the things we thought were surprising and turning the narrative around, and maybe it's not, you know, this eschatological situation. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the technocracy looking to the Vatican to ally or come under the sort of, I don't know, umbrella of what the Vatican already is. I mean, that is the beast system of all beast systems. If the Vatican isn't involved, then, you know, you could hardly call it a beast system.
Yeah. And the beast is the one who fornicates with the harlot in the book of Revelation, and the merchants of the world get rich. And so I would imagine that whatever these legislations are going to be, or whatever, because, you know, kind of on face value, if you're going to do AI and have some sort of guardrails for the world to use AI, you kind of need a little bit of moral type of stuff. I mean, that's been the same thing with when laws were, you know, laws in general, like the law theory, the philosophy of law, you know, they all kind of hinge on the ethics of somebody, you know, some group that most people can agree upon. And so, yeah, I can see how that plays into actually building out the system, you know, thinking that it's a good thing. Well, it probably is a good thing, and we'll probably see a lot of positive things, but ultimately, yeah, the tech itself, you know, becoming the culprit, or the center point by which all of these prophecies unfold. that thesis just continues to be affirmed as time goes on, because I remember people saying like, oh no, Mystery Babylon is Rome, and it's like, well, maybe, but it seems to me more that the beast is Rome, and if the beast is fornicating with the harlot, then yeah, maybe there's some exchange of gifts, you know, maybe you can't tell, they're together, you know, for the moment. Then, you know, it all falls apart later, but I don't know.
And if you thought it couldn't get any worse, you know, you're talking about handing over, you know, or at least allying the moral authority or the spiritual authority with AI, the sort of intellectual authority, or at least the technocracy, the power structures coming together. I just watched Idiocracy all the way through for the first time. I had only seen clips, and I was aware of the whole thing, but I don't think I had ever watched it before. But I did just watch it. And it's not for kids, but it's kind of a throwback. I mean, man, 2006, what a different time that was for movies. But the idea is that, you know, it's far into the future, and it's so far in the future that everybody is dumb. So dumb. And the whole world has been sort of automated for so long, and technology takes care of everything. And humans just atrophied. Their brain atrophied. They had no reason to use it. And so they become just exceedingly stupid. Well, over here, I'm going to take this from the Alex Vaca Twitter account, or X account, because he put together a thread. It says, MIT just completed the first brain scan study of Chatgpt users, and the results are terrifying. It turns out AI isn't, oopsies. Weird. I just opened up our own stream in my own X account. Get out of here. I'm listening to myself. Turns out AI isn't making us more productive. It's making us cognitively bankrupt. Here's what 4 months of data revealed. And he has the study here. You can see on the screen, your brain on ChatGPT. Accumulation of cognitive debt when using an AI assistant for essay writing tasks. 83.3% of ChatGPT users couldn't quote from essays they wrote 2 minutes earlier. Wrote minutes earlier. Let that sink in. You write something, hit save, and your brain has already forgotten it because ChatGPT did the thinking. Well, that doesn't necessarily not make sense.
You know, I was kind of thinking. I was thinking if I'm writing something and someone asks me to recite what I just wrote 2 minutes later, I'm not sure if I can do it verbatim unless I was really sitting there working on that sentence.
Yeah. There's that side of it. The other side of it is if you didn't write it, then the best you did was read it once. Yeah. And can you do that? But let's go. Brain scans. Now, this is the interesting part. They actually did the brain scans. Brain scans reveal the damage. Neural connections collapsed from 79 to 42. That's a 47% reduction in brain connectivity. If your computer lost half its processing power, you'd call it broken. That's what's happening to ChatGPT users' brains.
Interesting. So it's cognitive debt. So it's almost like it's sucking cognition out of human brains, and the AI is like absorbing it.
It's not just making you not making you smarter. It's like actively making you dumber. And that is
as
an
the
interesting
AI gets smarter.
Yeah, that's an interesting sort of supernatural sort of angle, like technocratic angle to it. That there is something going on where the AI is getting smarter as you use it and you are actively getting dumber. Is it like almost literally just sucking the brains out of our, the thoughts out of our heads? Yeah. Teachers didn't know which essays used AI, but they could feel something was wrong. And we've gone over this. Soulless, empty with regard to content, close to perfect language while failing to give personal insights. This is one of the really frustrating parts about ChatGPT or AI in general. And this is what makes it super easy to spot on X too. I play a fun little game where I just scroll through, and every time I sense it's AI, I'll just call them out for it. Because you and I, we've experimented with putting together, research and stuff like this. And for me, primarily, I had been walking through trying to put research together for my Edward Bernays advertisements, occult, brainwashing, social engineering, pantheon. And it was so frustrating because you could imply connections. You'd say, hey, there's a connection here and here and here, and I want it laid out like this. And give me a few paragraphs on this real quick. And then it would. But it would never make the connections itself that you were trying to make. Like if you had done the thinking before and you say, hey, there's something going on between these connections, and that's what I'm trying to write about or put on paper.
You're trying to express this idea, yeah.
It cannot and does not seem to make those connections itself until you tell it what that connection is. You explicitly say, here is my discovery. Here is my, here is the thing that I think is the sort of heavy part of this. And then it learns from you, and then it can kind of start putting it together. It cannot make these connections itself. But right there, as you give it your human creative, insight, it steals that, becomes smarter, and then actively you're becoming dumber because you are not, writing it out or whatever.
Wow. Well,
sounds
about right.
When researchers forced ChatGPT users to write without AI, they performed worse than people who never used AI at all. And it's funny because this thread was written by AI. I can tell because he says, it's not just dependency, it's cognitive atrophy, which is a classic AI. You can spot AI real easy. It loves to say, it's not this thing, it's this other thing. Every single thing that you write with AI, it'll do it repeatedly too. It'll do it and this is the kind of funny thing with AI is it thinks that it is mimicking, human depth and creative connection by saying, it's not this, it's this. Ooh. One last thing. The MIT team used EEG brain scans on 54 participants for 4 months. They tracked alpha waves, creative processing, beta waves, active thinking, and neural connectivity patterns. This isn't opinion. It's measurable brain damage from AI overuse.
That sounds like AI.
It is AI. Of course it is. I'm telling you, it
isn't
does
something.
It all
It
the
is
time.
something. That's the classic AI writing right now. It's not this. It's this.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
in this thread where he lays out this MIT study about how AI is making you dumber, he crafted the whole thing using AI, which is very spooky.
Wow.
The productivity paradox nobody talks about. Yes, Chatgpt makes you 60% faster at completing tasks, but it reduces the germane cognitive load needed for actual learning by 32%. You're trading long-term brain capacity for short-term speed. And this is hilarious because there's a video going around, making the rounds, hot video, next hot video of at a graduation, a college graduation. And they are getting called up. They're in the robes, in the hats, and the graduation ceremony is going. And then one of the graduates turns and has a computer, and he shows you the Chatgpt that he used to pass his exams to graduate college. And he's kind of doing it as like I'm graduating now. You can't take it away. Here's my Chatgpt. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the next generation of A, workers, or B, God forbid, leaders who are relying on this AI that actively makes them dumber to complete school, which is supposed to make them smarter. And this is how we get idiocracy. And just a couple generations of this, and we are all, talking like gorillas and letting the robots take care of us. And wearing Crocs. That's the one.
Yeah, Crocs was invented. I'm not invented, but wasn't it? Didn't it
was
start?
Its first. Yes, the creator of Idiocracy said, not the creator, the costume designer said, man, we need some shoes for people to wear, but we need them to be kind of like futuristic, but so stupid, like something an idiot would wear. Right. And they go out and they find Crocs, and that's what made Crocs so popular. Anyways, you can get to this study here. Very interesting. What I find interesting about the study is it just confirms common sense. Like, that's what I love about studies, is when they confirm what we all already know, they just put some numbers to it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's common sense in the government. They're not just asking AI for all their answers, although maybe they are at this point. Reuters.com. I know. Reuters.com. OpenAI wins $200 million U.S. defense contract. They win it. They won. They're champions.
Congratulations.
ChatGPT maker OpenAI was awarded $200 million to provide the U.S. Defense Department with artificial intelligence tools, the Pentagon said in a statement on Monday. Quote, under this award, the performer will develop prototype frontier AI capabilities to address critical national security challenges in both warfighting and enterprise domains. And it says here, the work will be primarily performed in and near Washington with an estimated completion date of July 2026, the Pentagon said. So this is a year. They have 1 year to build whatever. Like, what are they building? Some infrastructure for the military? Okay. Not much else. Not much else on that in this article. But, I mean, no surprises there. We're talking about the military industrial complex, and it's the, whereas before it was Boeing and Lockheed Martin, now it's Palantir and OpenAI. It's the same type of thing. Public-private partnerships, where the government and corporations work together so that it's not technically some kind of monopoly, or not monopoly, but I don't know, socialist, communist type of government. Unofficially, because of the corporations, it's more of a quote unquote democracy or a republic type situation.
Yeah, it's techno-fascism. It's great.
Well, yeah, they're not going to really buy. I don't think they're going to really like the techno-fascism label. So
You don't think so?
Nah, I don't think so. They're not going to be. They're not going to be stoked about that. They'll say, "How dare you? How dare you call us techno-fascists?" So, okay. Oh, by the way, Pope Leo choosing his name because of AI. If you want to connect it to the beast, of course, that beast that came out of the sea, mouth of a lion. And if we're talking about the sort of guardrails or the, I don't know, the truly the mouthpiece for AI, presenting an ethical roadmap for AI, the Pope Leo,
That's the guy. That's
mouth
the
of
guy
a
you want.
lion. I don't know. It seems to kind of work out, because it'll matter what he says. He's got the mouth of a lion, but then he'll devour people with it. So it's
Right.
both ways.
Well,
Okay.
it's interesting too with the Pope thing because, as Protestants, a lot of times you go like, yeah, how powerful really is the Pope? Like, do people actually really care what the Pope says? I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. I get the concept, but like
Sure.
practically,
Uh-huh.
is there enough, does he actually have enough influence? And you forget that by the numbers, like we've been pointing out for years before anybody else, this massive social movement, A, towards Christian values, and B, to religious conversions to Christianity, by the numbers, the Catholic Church has the most conversions in this sort of revival thing, at least by the numbers that they're able to get. Now, of course, there is Protestant and Orthodox people as well. Those numbers are gaining, but at least the numbers available, the Catholic Church is significantly growing compared to the other, I don't know, types of Christianity there.
Denominations, yeah.
And it's, very young and hip now. It's like young and hip to be Catholic.
It's patriotic. It's masculine. Yeah, the whole thing. They're picking up on all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yes, he is the king of the Gen Z testosterone gang. Yeah.
Yeah,
What is that?
right.
I forget what that. It has a funny name. I forget what it is. But yes.
Bro, Chad, bro.
Yeah, something like that. There's a name. But yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. Speaking of Bible stuff, we're going to continue on talking about a little bit of some biblical issues here.
It's gotta be biblical.
People don't even read their Bible, for heaven's sakes.
And of course, this concerns Israel.
Zionists!
And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars.
This is coming from the dailymail.co.uk. And their headline here is Experts' Chilling Clues. The book of Revelation predicted today's bloody Middle East conflict.
Ooh, the Daily Mail, you say?
Yes, the Daily
That's
Mail
fun.
leaning in to experts, giving us clues. Okay, and it says this: a wild conspiracy theory is gaining traction online.
Wait, a conspiracy theory?
A wild conspiracy. It's a wild conspiracy theory
Who
gaining traction
exactly-
online.
Who exactly is conspiring for?
I think Daily Mail is
now that we
conspiring
think
too.
about it, there is a pretty strong theory that there are those out there in the world in power who are conspiring to replicate the prophecies
Yes.
in Revelation, for
By which
for all sorts of reasons.
Right, by which the mockery will become the fulfillment. A wild conspiracy theory is gaining traction online as fears grow over a wider war in the Middle East. This has not that's been true for like as long as I've been born,
Yeah.
born. Like this has been a true thing. This is not something that just happened over the weekend.
Not
They
a
always
day of
seem
my
like-
life has not
That's
the
what I'm
threat
saying.
of war in the Middle East existed.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I love how they talk to us like we are mice that forget things every 30 seconds or something. It claims that the colors in the Palestinian and Iranian flags match those of the four horsemen of the apocalypse from the
Ooh.
Bible, and that this signals the end of the world. According to the book of Revelation, a horseman represent four major disasters that happened before the end times. Okay.
This
I
is-
can pick
it's
it that
always
later,
so-
but
It's always
it's
so
flippant.
cringy. It's so cringy, not just because they don't know what they're talking about, but because they don't want to know what they're
They don't
talking
wanna
about.
know, yeah.
You got to remember the point of the article is to straw man
Yes.
and it's probably doesn't even exist. Like the way I'm just going to guess, I've not read this article. My guess is the way that they lay this out doesn't actually exist all in one place. It's just like various tweets that they took from
Well, they
various
do.
places.
They cite experts. They have 2 experts they name. So we'll get there.
Two? Goodness
Yes,
gracious.
there's 2. Yeah. According to the Book of Revelation, the horsemen represent 4 major disasters that happened before the end times: conquest, white; war, red; famine, black; and death, pale or green. Some social media users are pointing to the Palestinian flag, seen at mass protests around the world since the Hamas-led attack on Israel in October, as containing the same colors. Others have linked to the theory to Iran, which backs Hamas, is now in direct conflict with Israel, and also contains 3 out of the 4 horsemen's colors. The theory also refers to a prophecy in the book of Ezekiel about an invasion of Israel by ancient nations, including Persia, now Iran, which some say mirrors today's tensions between Israel and its regional enemies. While the theory is mostly spreading among fringe religious groups and TikTok users.
Yay.
We need to get on TikTok, Basil. There's a bunch of people that need to get shaken up. They need their
know.
cages rattled. And we just haven't done it because, we don't want to give the CCP all the data. But now that we're going to just continue to hand over all of our data to Palantir and
Somebody else can
OpenAI,
run
I
it.
suppose,
A producer could run it for us if there's
I know, we're
any
waiting for that TikTok producer.
TikTok
Uh,
producer.
It reflects a growing sense of unease, especially as world leaders warn the Israel-Gaza conflict could spiral into a wider war. Rabbi Jonathan Cahn, a controversial figure known for linking biblical prophecy to current events, has fueled the theory, stating in recent video, the Bible says in the last days Israel will be the focus of the world. The colors of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. This is still his quote. The colors of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse started appearing wherever there was rage against Israel. This is all part of it leading to Armageddon. Seattle pastor, this is the other pastor named Steve. Oh, I forgot how to pronounce this name. Chocolanti. Is that how you say it?
Sure.
Siocolanti, maybe, yeah, has also claimed that the ongoing conflict between Israel and other Middle Eastern nations signals unfolding end times prophecies. Do you know who he is, Basil? Steve Cioccolanti?
I think it's Chocolanti. I think you said it right the first
Okay.
time.
Well, if you see him, you'll recognize him. He's very famous.
I can't believe Jonathan Cahn is one of the guys in here.
Yeah.
I didn't even
baby.
know he's still a thing. Like that's
He's a thing,
still...
man. He's a thing. Yeah.
I mean, that makes. I mean, I guess it's the Daily Mail, sure.
In a sermon that has gone viral on social media, Chocolant, they spell it wrong. Man, come on, guys, you gotta get it together. Chocolanti, okay, gotta get the name right. Argued that the colors of the Palestinian flag align with the 4 horsemen described in the Book of Revelation. Quote, God isn't randomly choosing colors, Chocolanti said. There's a purpose and message behind the colors we see. He extended this theory to the flags of other nations, including Jordan, Sudan, and UAE, Libya, Kuwait, Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, suggesting their shared color schemes tie them to biblical events. The resurfaced sermon comes amid heightened tensions, yada, 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 all the tensions, talks going on there. So let's see. This conspiracy theory traces back to a form of biblical interpretation called dispensationalism, which interprets Revelation as a literal roadmap for future events. The author of Revelation is traditionally identified as John, believed by many to be the Apostle John, who also wrote the Gospel of John. The book describes a dramatic sequence of events leading up to the end times, including natural disasters, plagues, blah, 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 all that stuff. Let's see. There's a part at the end here. Maybe not. Maybe that was it. It just describes and outlines the 7 sealed prophecies in Revelation 6 where this is being drawn from. And, it's kind of one of those things where you go, you got to give him, the 4 horsemen and the 4 colors. Sure. Yeah, the Palestinian flag, There's a bunch of different flags.
Honestly, that's the stretchiest of stretches.
It's such a stretch.
Heard a
such
lot
a
of stretches when it comes to eschatology. That it might be the stretchiest stretch I've ever seen.
I mean, it is the colors, but also, yeah, it doesn't mean what? What does it mean? That they're the four horsemen, or like what? Like, there's no actual tangible thing other than like they're the bad guys. Look it, they're the bad guys. That's the only thing you get out of it.
Well,
which is very pro nation state Israel, if I can just sort of.
I mean, it's
geopolitically speaking.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, but it's also everything. I mean, this is what we're talking about. The Daily Mail coming out talking about eschatology, Jonathan Cahn, the colors that appear on the Iranian flag is the four horsemen. So what is Jonathan Cahn's conclusion here? So we need to go to war with Iran?
I think that's what they don't say it, but that's I think that's the thing.
We have been watching, especially during this whole thing, this whole cultural Christian revival, whatever it is, we've seen Christianity suddenly being argued in every single area of current events, or the news or media, alt media, even mainstream media now. And one of the little problems that if you've been a Christian for literally any amount of time, you'll start to notice real quick that if anybody wants to make a real good point about anything, they'll just say it's in scripture, or they'll bring up a scripture out of context, maybe not even scripture, just like a vaguely biblical idea or vaguely Christian words to be used for literally just whatever they want. And the fact that we're in this time where the Daily Mail will come out and write something, they're really hitting it from all sides, because you'll have and we'll get to Ted Cruz in a moment, but you'll have a politician sort of, we saw this with George Bush Jr., they're coming out talking about the cedars of Lebanon and quoting, talking about, war in the Middle East. Who even needs weapons of mass destruction when you've got the cedars of Lebanon? Come on, we got to go to war. And, across the board, like you said, yes, really any military issue that has to do with Israel, you start busting out the Old Testament, it's a good time. But to have the Daily Mail come out with a wacky conspiracy theory from Jonathan Cahn about the Book of Revelation and the colors of the Iran flag, and it still points us to going to war in the Middle East. Like, I've heard every version of quoting the Bible to support going to war in the Middle East my entire life.
Yeah.
And we're at a place in society now where even what would formerly count as the wildest, least accessible, most obscure biblical concept is still going towards war in Iran. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the problem also is that, yes, there's actually a whole bunch of nations in that region, like that Arab region, that use these colors. It actually wasn't really a thing until like the early 1900s. The pan-Arab nations kind of coming together and choosing their colors. And there's actually a British guy that helped them do that. But
you don't say.
You don't say, a British guy, helping out with the colors of the thing. But you also have, so the Palestinian flag does in fact have all four colors: red, black, white, and green. But the Iranian flag only has three of them. Iran only has green, white, and red. But you know what? So does Italy, and so does Mexico, and Hungary, and Belarus, and Bulgaria. So, when you lean on these types of associations, it falls apart.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. So the black exists for the Palestinian flag, but not the Iranian flag. The Iranian flag is just red, white, and green, which you got to have all four.
What is the one we're looking at right now?
This is the Palestinian flag.
Oh, yeah. The Iranian flag has that, sword.
It's got the thing in the middle. Yeah. It's red, white, and green. And it's got that, the little thing in the middle.
So by Daily Mail catching the drippings off of Jonathan Cahn's table, they are saying that Gaza is the
Well,
four
they're kind of
horsemen
lumping
the
it all.
apocalypse?
They're lumping it all together as like, the Arabs, right?
That's a
yeah, down with
classic.
the Arabs.
It's okay. It's a rookie mistake. We've all been there.
I mean, it's pretty pathetic if you ask me. I'm very disappointed to see the Iran-Israel issue continue to divide people, fellow brethren, due to their eschatology. And it's really nothing other than their eschatology that's causing them to take sides on a geopolitical issue. It's very sad.
Yeah,
actually.
and
I'm
it's
very upset about it.
very strong. It's very strange. And again, like you said, to see it presented like this in the Daily Mail, where previously the Daily Mail would just like make fun of this, like, oh,
right,
ding dang Christians, look at these silly guys on the internet.
I mean,
But
they're kind of
even-
trying to, but they can't.
But even in that is the support to go bomb Iran.
To go to war, yes.
Which
to
is
war,
still
yes.
happening, by the way, folks. Things are still going on.
Yeah,
It's
still-
very
Tucker.
It's
Tucker
very
can help us
entertaining to
understand.
watch. Yes, lots of fun things going
Cruz.
on. No major updates that can't wait. No nukes going off. I mean, we could show you
Trump
some
makes some statements.
we could
He's
show
made
you some tweets, I could do that sort of thing. But I'll say this. Tucker just had Ted Cruz on because what we are seeing is the armies of U.S. politicians who have been begging for war with Iran for years and years and years and years. By the way, a video was posted by the former prince of Iran back when the 1979 the U.S. overthrew the government and put in the Islamic State guys. I mean, it's only Iran is only an Islamist sort of tyrannical state because the U.S.
Because
wanted
the
it
U.S.
that way.
helped, yeah, that's what they built over there. It's like
we
our
toppled
creation.
a democratically elected government and honestly thriving sort of Middle Eastern country in the 70s.
There's a meme. Yeah, there's a meme of like it shows Iran like I forget what it was. I think it
Tons
was
of pictures of it. Just Google
Yeah.
it. There's tons and tons of pictures of the Iran in the 1970s.
Right.
They were a threat is what it was. Argentina was very similar. Argentina used to be one of the richest countries in the world until we got our hands on it. So we're seeing some real classic early 2000s moves, and that includes establishment Republicans coming out and saying we should have been at war with Iran this whole time. They're the biggest danger. There's the biggest danger in the world. You have Tulsi Gabbard just like months ago. Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, comes out and says we have really no reason to believe that Iran is working on nukes. We have no reason to believe that they have any nukes. We have no intelligence on this. And then the past couple days has been breaking. We have intelligence. Suddenly they've got nukes, and this is a really big deal. And you've got politicians coming out, and Ted Cruz, which if you gave me 0.5 seconds, gun to my head, and you said, name a politician that wants to go to war with Iran, Ted Cruz would have been the first one to come out, right?
Yeah.
And Ted Cruz made, I'm going to say, the mistake of going on Tucker's show remember, Tucker, who famously, in his shift to an alt media guy, came out and said, yeah, I advocated for the war in Afghanistan because I believed in it. Because I believed what the government said.
Yeah.
The government said there was weapons of mass destruction. Why wouldn't I believe them? The government said, whatever. Why wouldn't I believe them? We're the good guys. We're going to war. I'm excited. Let's go. He was working for CNN at the time, by the way, wearing a bow tie. I mean, talk about, times a changing. Tucker is working at CNN, the first news agency to televise live a war. And in this case, it was, the war on terror in Kabul or whatever. And he comes out and he says, I can't believe it. I'll never believe him again. We cannot believe the government. Now, this is interesting because Tucker's dad was a CIA agent, and there's a lot of questions about, what connections does Tucker have with the CIA? Is he a masterful psyop? Is he controlled opposition? When I watch this, I can't help but see the CIA in Tucker's chair. talking to Ted Cruz, which makes this, again, like everything else, a strange, great flippening. But let's go ahead. This is the clip that everybody is playing, and we don't want you guys to miss it. So it sets the stage for what we really want to talk about. But here's Ted Cruz and Tucker talking about war in Iran.
How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population. At all? No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? How many people live in Iran? 92 million. Okay. Yeah, how could you not know that?
That's his first mistake.
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Ted Cruz thinking that he was going to like get Tucker by asking him the question that he was just asked. Ted, you're better than this, man. You fell right into the trap. All right, keep it going.
Sit around memorizing population tables. Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government. Why is it relevant whether it's, it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant? Because if you don't know anything about the country... I didn't say I don't know anything about the country. What's the ethnic mix of Iran? They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute. It's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran. You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government. You're the one who claims anything about the country. No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General.
Hold on. There's 92 million people in Iran. I would strongly doubt that 90. Not even how many people from Iran are trying to actively assassinate the president of the United States currently?
At least 6. We knew there were 6.
At least 6. You're right. Yeah, not 90 million, not 91 million.
Soleimani, and you said it was bad. You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump? Yes, I do. Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that, we're carrying out military strikes today. You said Israel was right with our help.
Oh,
I said we. Israel is leading them.
Oopsie doodle. Oopsie, Ted Cruz.
We're supporting them. Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity. No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them. You just said we were. We are supporting Israel. High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening. Okay.
People are listening. I gotta say, Tucker,
the blender.
Ted Cruz was not ready for that. Tucker came prepared, but also Tucker, I would hate getting in an argument with Tucker. That little smirk, the attitude, he just makes my skin crawl. I would never, it's just, I think I've known people that have that ability to not just make a point and win an argument, but do it in such a such a way
humiliating
you just want, and taking pleasure. That's what it is. Pleasure. Yeah. He's taking pleasure in making Ted Cruz squirm so much. So there, I mean, basically right there, you've got a great example of. Remember, I mean, the list goes on of American politicians who have been wanting to go to war with Iran for decades, like full-on decades. And of course, they happen to line up with the politicians who are very much in support of Israel, doing whatever it wants or needs to do. Look, you might need to do some things, but there's certain networks of lobbying money that just happen to line up with these politicians who have needed like a deep need to go to war with Iran. And this is a great opportunity for them. Just real quick, one thing that I did find really concerning was there is, I believe is an aircraft carrier, the Nimitz. Let me pull this up real quick. The Nimitz, I just want to make sure, I believe it's an aircraft carrier, but I just want to make sure because that would be very silly of me to get wrong. Yeah, Nimitz class carrier. Here we go.
Got struck? Is it the one that got hit?
No, did it get hit? No, okay, well.
Carrier strike group sailing towards Middle East.
Okay. So the Nimitz
strike group.
The Nimitz is an older aircraft carrier. Now, for those who just need reminding, when you have an aircraft carrier, it often has, well, it always, it's a whole group. It's like a squadron of boats. You've got the aircraft carrier, which is like the floating fortress, and then you've got some destroyers, you've got some, radar boats, you've got, they come in a whole little team, right? So they're sending the Nimitz and its strike group over to Iran. Just to chill, just in case. In fact, they are positioning lots of aircraft. They're positioning refueling tankers. They're positioning all sorts of military assets, mostly Navy and aircraft. It looks like they are preparing if they need to activate. It's basically a bombing campaign on Iran. Positioning these things is oftentimes their own negotiating strategy. Trump could be positioning these things to, give the impression that he's serious about bombing, and he may very well be serious about bombing. The Nimitz was scheduled for decommission next year. They were going to park it, maybe take it apart, decommission it entirely, which is a huge project. It's an old boat, and it's being decommissioned not because it is in tip-top fighting shape. It is because it is no longer the most effective boat in the fleet. This boat that was scheduled for decommissioning next year, it is a lame duck boat, is being positioned over there, just right there, just right in the line of fire. And this has got a lot of people real freaked out because we all remember all sorts of false flags and other flags that involve a boat getting bombed. I mean, it's like the past 5 wars have been started because some boat got bombed. And moving this boat that they are going to retire anyways into the line of fire.
Yeah, that's very suspicious.
Leaves the opportunity for whoopsie daisies. Somebody hit the Nimitz. Guess we got to go to war. Oh, man, we love that boat. I was really looking forward to parking it off the coast of North Carolina and turning it into a museum.
Yeah, one guy who had all that stuff ready is going to be upset. But it's funny. It's kind of like, it's as if, all those movies, all those CIA scripted movies from the 90s and the early aughts, where the agent is retired, but he's got to come out of retirement for one last jab.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like that, but then he gets sacrificed.
Yeah, exactly. It's the I'm too old for this.
Yeah,
carrier fleet. Right.
So, but then he's the one that gets killed, and then the revenge. Exactly. He sacrificed. He was about to retire, but he was called for duty, and he complied, and
faithfully showed up. It's John Wick's dog too.
Dude,
if somebody else needs a different example of what this is, it's John Wick's dog. So part of me is like, yo, that is way too obvious. They're not even trying. That is so obviously a setup for a false flag. They wouldn't. Well,
it's too easy. It's one part of the people that are frustrating me, that are very, I'll just outright say it, they're pro-geopolitical Israel in this conflict, and they are justifying, because of biblical passages, to be very offensive towards Iran, blow up their stuff, whatever it may be. And I get there's many layers to this. There's nuclear power, and there's various layers to the onion.
But this is a huge thing for us. This is a very important thing for us to be very wary of, for us to be very careful of, for us to be very serious about. And that is the use of scripture for geopolitical ends. Now, eschatology, from the moment I heard of the book of Revelation, eschatology has been used to either explain geopolitical events or justify geopolitical events or predict geopolitical events. That is inherently sort of the 3 categories that these things fall into. But you have to be so serious about it. Like Jonathan Kahn level serious, you know? You gotta, ooh, the color red is next to the color white. Oh, you know what this means. We gotta bomb Iran.
We gotta bomb right. I mean, that's the crazy part. And one of the passages that has been used a lot is Genesis 12, where it says, you know, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. God talking to Abram, right? This is very early in the biblical narrative. So, and, you know, it's been one of those passages that I feel people stopped using because they were kind of getting called out for multiple reasons as to why that is probably not a very good application, especially if you're talking about justifying contemporary war. So it's been
Right.
it's been a bad scripture to use because, of course, there's people that argue, hey, this was already fulfilled in the Old Testament. Other people use the New Testament with Galatians 3. They'll say, hey, this is the fulfillment or was fulfilled through Christ and the church in the New Testament. And then there's a lot of eschatological passages that get used for pro-geopolitical Israel that are really talking about the millennial kingdom under the reign of Messiah, not some modern geopolitical group. So given that context, Genesis 12:3 has been one of those passages that really fires me up when it gets used to justify destroying Iran. And here, Ted Cruz, this may be the nail in a coffin. I really don't think this argument will ever work anymore thanks to Ted Cruz.
As if he hadn't already dug his own grave, he starts to fill in the dirt on top of him right here.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two...
Well, hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what? Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Well,
Okay.
Tucker is picking up a little something out of our little, I don't know, box of things that we've screamed about over the years, which is when you're talking about Israel, what are you talking about? Are you talking about Old Testament Israel? It's a different thing than when you're talking about New Testament Israel, which is a different thing than when you're talking about contemporary modern nation state Israel. And I've been screaming about that for about a decade. Tucker Carlson or his team apparently found those tweets from 2016 and now is incorporating it into their whole counter argument.
This is another interesting clip, and there's a little bit more of the clip we're going to play, but it's another especially interesting clip, I think, for us, because, again, like I said, when I'm looking at Tucker, I'm like, is that the CIA sitting in the chair? Like, a lot of people think that that's CIA sitting in the chair, and we've talked about it for a couple of years and recently been reporting on the confirmation of what we saw coming. Again, back to this cultural revolution for Christianity. You could call it a revival, could call it whatever, paired with the what was formerly a boogeyman, but now is sort of like a popular, almost cool way to be a patriot, which is Christian nationalism. Now, so you've got the CIA moving in this Christian space and in this Christian way, and you've got the Christian nationalism paired with that in this scene, if indeed the CIA is sitting in Tucker's chair, which I'm not like 100%, but a lot of people are. You have this, at least faction of the CIA or some PSYOP department making an argument from the Christian perspective and from, again, a pretty vague, not vague, but like underground, like, I don't know. Again, it's different now because now everybody talks about the Nephilim. Every podcast talks about the Nephilim when it used to be kind of weird. In the same way, everybody's talking about eschatology and eschatological Israel and Armageddon and things like this, when it used to be you couldn't even talk about it in church, basically.
Yeah.
And you kind of have that CIA Christian nationalist representation PSYOP thing pushing against war with Israel. I'm sorry, war with Iran. Mm-hmm. When in practical reality, you would think that a lot of this is stemming from CIA intelligence. However, Mossad, CIA, they're operationally almost identical, you could say.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, except for Mossad maybe is a little bit, I would say, maybe even more creative. So,
well, if they conditioned a couple generations with a certain worldview, and then the leadership might shift, and I'm talking about sort of the unseen leadership, they shift or change gears, then they can turn on the very thing they had developed for so long and create that new emergent thing that looks better and is, has the moral high ground and all this stuff. So yeah, it's a problem reaction solution thing that we've been seeing, but it's happened.
Co-opting. There's this co-opting of the strength of the Christian sort of revival we're seeing, and not just sort of spiritually with salvation, but also just culturally. Caleb in the chat says, Tucker is my new favorite, totally Christian, not CIA Kabbalist hero.
Yeah, the idea of this whole thing using Christianity, specifically sort of a more sound Christianity to push war, is just, it's a tale as old as time. It's been used, especially since the last few hundred years, especially America, right? I mean, you had the sword and cross type of thing in the medieval times with the colonial missions of the Catholic Church and the Crusades and stuff like that. But more recently, a gun in one hand, or a Bible in one hand, gun in the other, has been, sort of that both used pro and as a critique, right, of colonialism in the West and things of that nature. So it's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun, and we're just seeing this modern iteration of it, which is fascinating to see. So
yeah,
there you go.
Let's back it up a couple of seconds and finish out this clip.
Okay, let's see. Let me go back to where is he? Here we go.
He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected. But
oh, he threw a straw man at Tucker.
Prime Minister,
right?
What?
But just like, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is
there.
silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
You believe
Israel.
That's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Ted Cruz did exactly what you're supposed to do when you're caught in that situation: is throw a straw man. Throw a little straw man out there. You dictator. You're saying he's a dictator. Netanyahu's a dictator.
What else can you do? You can't do anything else. All right, let's take a second. I want to thank a couple producers, and then we'll get into some wacky stuff after that.
Yep.
Going to be real quick. We're on the value for value model, folks. You know it. And our executive producers, they come in and support the show. And here's a jingle.
Well, I was going to say, this particular issue that we just talked about may be one of the very pinnacle reasons why the value for value, why we are value for value. That there isn't really an option otherwise. And you know, it's kind of it's a serious thing. I mean, really think about it. It is a very serious thing. So, yeah.
Don't get me started. You got the any jingles for me here?
Oh yeah, we got the value for
Play
value.
me in, baby.
Oh no.
Oh,
it did that thing where it dies.
The glitcheroonski
the glitch
again.
die.
All right. Well, I'll say this. You let me know when you got that. Value for value is very simple. We don't take any money from corporations, commies, cartels, NGOs, the Vatican, anybody. We're entirely supported and sustained, A, by the grace of God, and B, by the participation of you, our dear producers, with your time, your talent, and or your treasure.
There we go.
Thank you very much. Lots of ways to do it. And hey, if you're an artist, musician, you can make stuff for the show. Go to canarycry.art to upload it there. If you've got time on your hands and some skills, it doesn't matter how much time or what skills that is, we could use your help. Just get in touch. There's a form to fill out down at the bottom of canarycry.support. But if all else fails, you can support us with your treasure. It's a very important thing to do, and we could not do this show without you. And so you can go to canarycry.support to learn all about it and produce the show. Lots of ways to produce. Of course, a big old thank you to our monthly producers. Those who come in, they say, I get value. I want to continue to get value. I'm confident in the mission. I want to be a part of it. And here's the thing. You can just pick whatever number you want, whatever makes sense to you. Just pray about it, ask God, put a number on it, and you can support in whatever amount you want. So big thank you to all of our monthly supporters. Our executive producers are those who come in and they support any individual episode with $100 or more. So we're very grateful to them. And today we have one executive producer that I want to thank, and I bet you can guess who it is. It is executive producer Sir LX Protocol V2, Baron of the Brian Protocol.
Thank you, Sir LX Protocol V2, Baron.
Yep. And big day actually here, because he comes in. He comes in with $100 and 33 cents. Thank you very much. He's on a 401 episode streak and a 55 episode executive producer streak. And I have it on good authority that today is Sir LX Protocol V2, Baron of the Brian Protocol's birthday.
It's my birthday. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Mega producer,
The
Sir
birthday
LX
Baron.
Protocol. He's the birthday Baron. Thank you very much. Happy birthday to you. You've been such a big part of keeping this show going. It really means a lot to us. And God bless you on your birthday. I hope
God bless you.
some nice things happen there.
Yep.
I did learn about his birthday because he texted the Canary Cry text message alert system.
Oh.
He took out his phone. He opened his text message thing, and he texted the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Again, that's 877-740-3226. And he has been getting text message alerts before we go live. And the fun part is that he can now text us, mainly me, but us and the show, whenever he wants. And that's what he did to tell us it was his birthday. And you can do all this too. So take out your phone, text just the word Canary to 877-740-3226. You'll never miss a show again. And you will have a direct line to us if something goes wrong, if we get banned, if we disappear. You won't lose us forever. And you can text us back at that number. It's very fun, and I read them all. I love them all, and people love texting. And he was one of them. Thank you, Sir LX Protocol. Let's see here. I'm going to run through. It's very short producer list today, so I'm going to just do the whole thing.
Okay.
We have some producers that came in under the executive producer amount, which entitles them to have a note read on the show, as long as they come in over $7.77. And I, of course, need to mention and thank Cage Rattler Coffee.
Cage Rattler Coffee.
Thank you very much.
There it is.
Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. This is a producer-led, producer-benefit, producer-produced coffee company just for Canarians. And a portion of every purchase goes to support the show. And the coffee is excellent. That's all I hear about is how great this coffee is, how much people love it. Cage Rattler Coffee has a new Tanzania blend, I believe. And you should do it. You got to spend the money on coffee anyways. You're going to buy coffee. You're going to give your money to some corporation that hates everything you believe in. So you might as well participate in the value for value model, help form the parallel economy, keep God's resources in the family here, because not only does a portion of every bag of coffee go to support this show, but it also supports Canarians and Canarians' families, which in this climate, in the world we are moving towards, in the beast system, mammon worshipping economy that we are forced to live in without our consent right now, the best thing that we can do is make sure that it goes to people and places that we believe in, that we care about, and that represent the types of things that we want to see in the world. So go to CageRattlerCoffee.com and do that. I believe that the coupon code Wormicorn will still get you 10% off. So make sure to put that in there and say hi to all the Cage Rattler Coffee folks for us.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
So good.
So good.
Next up, we got producer The American Hobo comes in. He's keeping his streak going. 19 episodes in a row and coming in for $23.32. Thank you, The American Hobo.
Thank you, American Hobo. I guess that is a 33. We kept not doing 33, but there's a 33 sandwiched between the twos.
Been doing it back and forth, yeah.
Yeah, if I can... I'm getting a little bit of spinning wheel syndrome over here.
Uh-oh.
Come on, Jingle Board. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. There we go.
There we go. All right. Well, that concludes the list of financial producers who came in for $7.77 or more. We had these streakers who are coming in, keeping their streak going. They're coming in under $7.77. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to push them off until Monday. I got your streaks. I'm keeping the count going. But Gon's got to get the kids soon, and we want to make sure to get these stories.
Yeah,
in,
apologies. The shows may have felt a little shorter this week. We got vacation Bible school at night. We got dance recitals coming up. Which, by the way, I'm doing a father-daughter dance. I am not a dancer, but I am doing the whole thing. Where we bright yellow shirt. I'm gonna have pink wristbands.
Surely your wife is going to videotape this, right?
Surely it's yes. This
bonus content. Bonus content. Join the Canary Christ Supply Drop at canarychristsupply.com, and you'll get a USB with a dance video from Gons and the Little Samurai Princess.
Yeah, that'll be happening pretty
So
soon.
thank you, streakers. I got you here. I appreciate you, and we'll thank you and your streaks on Monday.
All right. Let's knock out a couple of these stories, and we'll call it a day here.
Let's do it.
This first one, where are we going? To the cold regions? Yes, let's go to the cold regions of Antarctica.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Vance, Antarctica. Climate crisis. Penguins.
Lasers. We have a Newsweek article, and if you have been with us, Newsweek, of course, very suspicious outlet, very mainstream, very legacy,
very intelligence,
very intelligence. Their headline here: mysterious radio signal rising from Antarctica's ice baffles scientists.
Yay!
Mysterious radio signals rising. Anytime they use rising, it's always interesting to me. Mysterious radio signals detected emanating from Antarctica's ice have left particle physicists baffled. The pulses were detected by the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, acronym ANITA, A-N-I-T-A, an array of radio instruments flown high above the southernmost continent via air balloon. Air balloon? You mean China? Or just somebody else? Antia. Come on, Newsweek. You can't even get your acronyms right. They say Anita first, and then they say Antia later. The next sentence, by the way, was designed to detect the radio waves generated when neutrinos from space hit the Antarctic ice, with the aim of learning more about distant cosmic phenomena. In contrast, these strange new signals appear to be coming from below the horizon, a source direction that cannot be reconciled with our current understanding of particle physics.
Whoa.
That sounds pretty intense.
Yes.
To reach the detector, the team explained the signals must have traveled through thousands of miles of rock first, which should have attenuated it down to nothing. Yep, they got quotes here. The radio waves that we detected were at really steep angles, like 30 degrees below the surface of the ice, said paper author and physicist Stephanie Wissel. It's an interesting problem because we still don't actually have an explanation for what those anomalies are. But what we do know is that they're most likely not representing neutrinos.
Okay.
So we detected neutrinos, or particles, I guess.
But it's
radio
not
waves,
neutrinos.
But it's not neutrinos.
Now, the crazy thing about this is I had actually read this a couple days before you had brought it to the show, and in the early reporting, they were saying we're getting signals from under the ice. We don't know what it could be. There's nothing. We have no idea. So therefore, it must be, and it could only be, water trapped under the ice sloshing around. They were saying, yeah, they're like mysterious radio signals. We've never seen it before. We don't know what it could be. It could only be an under the ice, I forget what word it was, some weird word that I hadn't seen before, but basically like an under the ice ocean, like a large body of water underneath the Antarctic ice. And the pulse of the signals could only be the water in this under the ice ocean sloshing around back and forth. And then that's gone. We don't know what it could be. Could be this. It has to be the ice. And now they're like, okay, you got us. We have no idea what this is. There's radio signals coming in from under the ice. Sure. No, it's not an under the ice Nazi UFO base. No, it's not a Nephilim penguin breeding ground. No, it's not these things. Don't look here. We don't know what it is. We thought it was water, but you got us. Water doesn't make radio waves.
You know what this also might be too, because it's all of it. Anytime there's stories like this, it's always looking for some kind of funding, right? You can't rule that one out. It says here the team's analysis of the new strange signal ruled out the possibility that they were caused by neutrinos, regular cosmic rays, or other known particle-based signals. Quote, my guess is that some interesting radio propagation effects occurred near ice and also near the horizon that I don't fully understand, said Wissel. But we certainly explored several of those, and we haven't been able to find any of those yet either. So right now, it's one of those long-standing mysteries, end quote. The researchers are currently developing the next big ultra-high energy particle detector, the payload for ultra-high energy observation, or PUEO for short. When PUEO launches, Wissel added, we should pick up more anomalies, and maybe we'll actually understand what they are. We might detect neutrinos, which would in some ways be a lot more exciting.
Launch the PUEO.
Launch the PUEO.
They're going to find another egg-shaped UFO in the caves beneath the ice.
Or a red balloon from China. Quote, so this is a double-edged sword problem. If we detect them, it means they have traveled all this way without interacting with anything else. Talking about the neutrinos. We could be detecting a neutrino coming from the edge of the observable universe.
Okay, sure. I don't know why the edge of the observable universe is under the ice in Antarctica.
Because in Acts 1:8, didn't you hear about the Holy Spirit? It's going to come. It's going to leave Jerusalem and Judea. It's going to go to the ends of the earth, Basil. That's and also Psalm 65:5, similar idea. Hope reaching the ends of the earth, the farthest of seas. But one of the passages that I find really fascinating is Job 38, and you go from verse 22 to 23. Have you entered the storehouses of snow, or have you seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war? So there you go. Maybe they're saving all this for divine judgment, Basil. All this Antarctica stuff.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together.
If you're gonna use eschatology to promote war with Iran, you're gonna need some.
Yeah. Hello. Hey, CIA, you take some notes. Going to be using some of these passages here later on to justify whatever you're going to justify.
They for sure are. They always do. We used to think that, if there was a simulation, it's plugged right into the show and it's just been processing the show for many years and now is showing itself. But I'm now starting to think that it's just like the playwrights of global events, the CIA, Mossad. They're just getting their ideas from this show, I think.
You're welcome, Tucker Carlson, earlier for pointing out the nation-state Israel problem there. By the way, so anytime Newsweek starts an article with mystery or mysterious, I think we ought to pay attention. The last time it caught our attention, Newsweek, was August of 2023. Mystery as beheaded penguins and dead seabirds wash up on shore. Remember our little theory about how they were, harvesting for penguin pineal glands?
Well, we saw all those penguins, dead penguins, who had their pineal glands taken out.
Well, they were beheaded. Yeah.
Right.
And this was a story. It was Newsweek that brought the mystery of the beheaded penguins to the forefront. So, of course, Newsweek, again, talking about mysterious radio signals rising from Antarctica. We pay attention to these little details here.
That's how they do it.
So there you go. Okay, we got one more quick thing here. Anything else on the Antarctica ice
nope.
neutrinos?
Speaks for itself, yeah.
Okay, well, more biblical prophecy.
NEPHILIM update.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
I got a couple things from the Times of India, so it's Western propaganda being routed through the East. That's how it works, folks. Times of India headline: shocking discovery, 230 giant viruses found lurking in Earth's oceans.
So
Scientists say. Scientists have uncovered hundreds of new giant viruses, also known as gyruses. In oceans worldwide. They used advanced computer software to analyze and unravel many types of viruses present in waterways and oceans and identify 230 unknown giant viruses. This finding is significant as it sheds light on the role of viruses in ocean ecosystems, particularly their impact on microscopic marine organisms like algae and amoeba, which are crucial to the ocean's food chain and health. This research advances our understanding of giant viruses and their role in shaping marine ecosystems. Or it signals the return of the NEPHILIM as the beast that comes out of the sea, Basil. There's gyruses in the oceans.
Gyruses.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it goes into this here, and we don't have to get into the details, but 230 new gyruses in the ocean. Who'd have thought the ocean, the source of all things beastly in the end times? Oh, I guess it was the scriptures that said that the beast that rises out of the sea. Maybe it's just one giant virus. It's COVID-19 on Godzilla super testosterone power. It just emerges out of the earth, and we just have to all get vaccinated to fight off the whole beast.
like how big does a microscopic organism need to be called giant? You know, and does giant, like, what kind of, does that make it dangerous? Is that better? Can we talk to it? What does that even mean?
I don't know. The researchers have made significant progress in understanding giant viruses through metagenomic approaches, but much remains to be undiscovered, particularly in the oceans. A new study used the BEREN tool, BEREN, tool to uncover 230 novel marine giant virus genomes and 398 partial genomes, providing insight into their functional potential and ecological impact. Quote, giant viruses are often the main cause of death for many phytoplankton, which serve as the base of the food web supporting ocean ecosystems and food sources. Look, they're genetic abominations even in the ocean, Basil.
Yeah.
They're killing the plankton, the phytoplankton. Isn't that like the source of all oceanics is the phytoplankton?
Without the phytoplankton, everything falls apart. What are
there you go.
Nephilim penguins going to eat?
So there you go. You got some Nephilim viruses. But that's not all, Basil. That is not all. That is not all coming from...
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Coming from the times of India, yes, the days of Noah. Noah was alive during the Tower of Babel. And, of course, the times of India and the Tower of Babel and wormicorns all come together in this headline. Scientists spot superorganism in the wild for the first time. It's made of worms.
What?
Yes, for the first time ever, scientists have observed a group of tiny worms called nematodes forming a strange living tower in nature. This kind of behavior is known as forming superorganisms, which had only been seen in laboratory experiments before, never in nature. This exciting...
It's the Wormicorn Tower of Babel?
It's the Wormicorn Tower of Babel!
God will strike them down! Confuse their language!
Confuse the worms! They will no longer be able to communicate with one another.
Throw them to the winds!
This exciting discovery was made by researchers from the Max Planck Institute of Animal Behavior and the University of Konstanz in Germany while studying decaying fruit like apples and pears in local orchards. Okay. They were shocked to see the worms pile up into small towers and move together like one big creature.
They ate of the apple.
They ate of the apple.
Of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And then they built the Tower of Wormicorn Babel. And we all know what comes next.
Yes. Sorry, I'm getting a message here.
Okay.
I'm getting pinged for my time.
Pinged,
I'm going over.
Pinged.
Going over. Right. But yeah, the important news about Nephilim, Wormicorn towers, and viruses, and it's just there you go. Folks.
Very important news. Thanks everybody for tuning into this episode. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for producing. Those who produced, you guys are wonderful. We had a wonderful piece of art come in from Sir Dove. We're going to do that on Monday. And thank you, of course, to our, it's the CCR Carp Fishing Club. This is going to be one of the options for Canary Cry T-shirt Council this quarter. It is Alex Carp as a fishing club logo. You've got a fishing pole wrapping around, and on the end of the fishing line is a worm who is wearing a CIA shirt, I believe. Which, that's pretty much how Alex Carp operates here. So thank you very much, Sir Dove, for that. Thank you to, the timestampers.
Oh, yeah, hold on. I was trying to move around some jingles because Psalm 40 brought a jingle for us, too. But I'll get to that in a second. Timestampers. Spinning wheel, spinning wheel, spinning wheel.
I get acapella.
This computer.
Bow, bow, wow. Timestamps is hard work, but damn it, bow, bow. Thank you, timestampers.
It might start playing randomly because I did click it and it's not playing yet. So
okay, do you
at
know
any moment?
Do you know who did the timestamps, or am I thinking both of them?
Let's thank both of them because I'm
okay. Thank you very much, Jade Bouncerson and Morgan E, for taking the timestamps. You'll notice after the stream ends and after the timestamps are available, those are put into the description of the episodes so you can navigate them. People have been loving that. Thank you very much. Thank you to Jam for being the admin of the Telegram channel. Thank you to Adam42.
Oh, there it is.
Hard work.
That's how long it took for this thing to play. That is crazy.
Thank you, Adam42, for adminning the Discord channel. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to Clank. If you want to join the Telegram, the Discord channel, or our very own social media forum at canarycry.community, you can find all that at canarycry.party. Other than that, share the show. Very important to share the show, specifically with your pets and your houseplants. Humans, sometimes it's a little bit much for them. They want to tune out. They don't really want to know what's going on. They're stuck in the illusion, and they like it that way. But houseplants and pets, they are awakening to the fact that the mainstream media does not have their best interests in mind. And so tell all your houseplants will grow faster and your pets will be more obedient if you play them Canary Cry News Talk. But we call it rattling cages, and all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
That is very true. I'm just waiting for things to load. Yeah.
Is it a hardware issue? Do we need a new piece of hardware? Is it a software?
I've been meaning to. I think it's just a computer issue, Basil. This computer is 13 years old.
I know. We've been saying that for 13 years. It's really held on quite a bit.
It has.
We've had
the end of the world occurred pretty much as we
There we go.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
Human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Guns, any last words?
Happy Juneteenth tomorrow.
Oh.
Happy Directive Establishing Psychological Strategy Board on Friday. It's a good time, actually, to get educated on that stuff. Area 51 weekend. So, yeah, big weekend.
Is this when they stormed Area 51?
I think so, yeah.
And then they turned it into a music festival.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, simpler times, folks. Simpler times. All right, everybody. Well, appreciate you tuning in. Remember, take that survey. Take the survey. It's in the description. It's of whatever, wherever you find this. The description is there. Do it. You don't even need... I mean, again, it's 2 simple questions. Do it. Do it for me. Kat texted the text message alert system and said, actually, I went back and took the surveys and they were fun and fast. Okay.
Yay.
She was a little concerned about one of them. They're all very easy. This one is especially important for the future longevity of the show. So just 2 quick little questions. Go do it. All right. Other than that, I think it's time to go. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, everybody. Please make sure to tune in next time. But until then, you know what to do. You're going to think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Ever wonder? Ever wonder what would happen if we just believed? It's difficult. I have found more peace in believing, yet had to fight to be sure. The truth lies within us. When we sit by ourselves, who do you think is listening? Are we listening to ourselves? What are we saying? Someone has to be listening to us. Otherwise, why have these thoughts? How must we balance evil and love? For what does not love is evil. And you grow stronger in love if you don't let evil win. A double-edged sword in both. Ever wonder? If evil was truly gone from the world, or if the world became heartless. One seems closer in our grasp. Prove me wrong, so all can be right. Ever wonder? If you have someone to turn to give up your burdens and trust in the Most High. Ever wonder how your soul will feel if you didn't see a flower again? Ever wonder? Ever wonder?
Canary.